Hello there. Welcome back to the Haas journey. It's been a little bit, but we're finally back. Currently, we are in second. We're about 23 points behind Red Bull. We are leading the driver championship though, and honestly, things are looking fairly well. We do have a few things that we're going to try and do today, which is of course develop the car even further. We have a rear wing that has failed, but unless I am mistaken, we do have a new rear wing design coming in 2 days. We'll have to have a look and see if that one is better than the one that we have. But with the Monaco GP being in 4 days, it's not going to matter for the race itself unless we rush it. We might get one rear wing done, but again, it's not going to be a big deal. We're also going to get the chassis done, which should be a little bit helpful. We also have underfloor and suspension incoming, so looks like we might be getting some upgrades in the near future. Now, I have actually started noting down what I'm doing in each save, because there's so many new games, so many new interests, so little time, that it is starting to become quite a big gap between these videos. It was less of an issue before, but it's become more of an issue now that I'm actually, well, weeks between looking at different saves because of life and gaming, let's just put it like that. And that is a little bit problematic. Now, this chassis was made to just improve top speed and acceleration, which is fine. We might do that one more time, honestly. Because currently what we are lacking versus the Red Bull is just that top speed. So getting a little bit more top speed and also airflow, honestly. But yeah, let's just focus a little bit on the cooling aspect, the top speed aspect, and do another one like this. And then we'll make a proper one. So again, it's just to develop the car. We're going to go all in this season, try and do our best to win. So we're looking at developing the car in the best way that we can. Now, the rear wing that we're getting, I believe, is a small upgrade because we got delayed, if I remember correctly, last time around. We'll have a look. Let's have a look at this rear wing of ours. Is it anything good? It is a slight upgrade, so yeah. It's not terrible, but it's nothing super amazing either. Just a small upgrade that's going to help us out. Just a tad. So I do think that we can go ahead and make 4 of these, but as you can see, it takes 19 days for us to make 4 rear wings, which would take any other team, well, a little bit less. Let's just put it like that. But we'll just get this going. It's a very minor upgrade, so we can just replace our current rear wings with the new ones once we actually get access to them. It shouldn't be a big deal. Now, in terms of what I want to design, I'm thinking maybe with us reaching 80% here for DRS and drag reduction, we either start focusing on the downforce of our rear wing, or we go ahead and start doing what we are doing with the chassis and working on the top speed, for instance, of our side pod. Basically developing these with the intention of making our car better in the long run by getting a little bit more top speed into it, getting a little bit more engine cooling. And I think that's fine, because the higher our base engine cooling is, it will allow us to make parts that basically has it at a minimum to begin with. And as you can see, even this would be a bit of an upgrade. A slight upgrade, but an upgrade for sure. And what I am thinking here is, again, we're just going to do like this. We can get that engine cooling, we can get that drag reduction up and running. And we're just going to make a piece that will hopefully be a bit of boon to the car in the latter half of the season. That is going to be the goal. We have the Monaco GP here coming up, which should be interesting. We can actually complete the suspension a bit sooner in completion time 26th instead of the 1st. Basically, we cut out a few days, a week or so. And honestly, I think we're fine with just paying that overtime. Getting it a little bit earlier. It's going to be okay. Should also go ahead and replace that rear wing rather than just look at it. With that, we're actually ready now to just jump directly into the Monaco GP. Now, I think one car is going to finish top 3rd, although quali is going to be massive here. We're going to have a good result in order to get a good result in the race. But yeah, we're going to get practice done, we're going to get quali done, and then we'll see where we stack up on the grid. So we've had a fairly amazing quali, I'd say. Qualifying 1st and 2nd, which should make life very, very easy here. As the Ferrari's also gone ahead and qualified ahead of either Red Bull, with Perez being the lead one. So, quali here went swimmingly. Now it's just, can we actually have a good start to this race and keep this run going? That's going to be the big one. Now, since we are starting in front of the grid, we could do something more shenanigansy, like starting on a hard tire. And honestly, starting on a medium is probably going to be the best that we can do. is going to be more beneficial. But let's take a quick look at what we can come up with. If we do go full attack by lap 21, we'd have to pit, which is probably not the greatest. If we were to do the hard tire instead, we'd have to be able to get them to lap 29, but we'd probably be a tad bit slower. So let's just take a quick look here on how effective each tire actually is. So softs here, 3/10 advantage, keeps out for about 15 laps. We're going to do 72 laps around here, so nothing major, but if we do 2 stops on the softs, 20 laps each basically, and we also, well, 25 probably more like it. We also run a medium stint, that's going to do it. Medium to hard, it's the same deal, 15 laps, so yeah, and if we go soft to hard, that's a 6/10 difference, 400 degradation, again, 15 laps advantage. And also, by the time you actually pit off those softs, the hards will not be able to get that advantage back. So we are probably going to do pretty basic something along these lines. Now, Magnussen, I'm pretty sure, has 2 soft tires. No, he actually only has 1, while Hulkenberg has 2. Okay, that's going to mess up the strategy a little bit, because that basically means that we are probably going to end up doing something like this for Magnussen, where he does go full attack. We go onto the soft, and then we go onto the medium at the end to try and snatch, well, maybe not fastest lap, but at least a quick lap. Probably something like this. It gives us enough leeway that we can make something happen. As you can see, running the softs on conserve rather than anything else is actually going to be beneficial. You could basically do a potential one-stopper doing things like this, because if you can get heat into the tires, a light or conserve soft around here is probably going to be the best thing you can do. So we do want to keep that in mind. I do still think we want to run the mediums on attack, at least for the first couple of laps. If we see that we aren't getting any gaps, we might turn it around a little bit. But I still think that is the best bet that we have available to us. And as I said, if we can't create gaps further back, I think we will be able to. We'll make some strategic choices then. But this is probably the best strategy that we have available to us for both drivers. And I do think it's gonna get the job done. So yeah, perfect setups. We have the good components. Fuel look good. Driver options look good. Let's see if we can snatch a 1-2 at Monaco and catch up to the Red Bulls. So that's a soft tire. That's a hard tire. That's a hard tire. Hard. Okay. This is actually fairly interesting, because this kind of hints that we have some potential problems to deal with, and already the Ferrari there almost got Hulkenberg. That was kind of scary to look at, but Hulkenberg managed to hold his position, and that is going to be very, very important for us. Now, the Ferrari of Leclerc is actually on a hard tire, and that is actually amazing for our strategy, because if we can pull away from Leclerc and have him back up the Red Bulls here, there's so many cars on hard tires. Okay, maybe we might need to change the strategy a little bit, just because as you can see here, so many hard runners. But we have already created that 1 second gap to Leclerc. And if we can keep this going, I guess it is fine to just keep this going. But yeah, the fact that we're seeing so many cars on hard tires is worrisome. But if we take a look here at what we can expect in terms of pit stops, 21 seconds, I still think that we'll be able to eke out that gap to most cars by lap 20. If not, we're just going to have to nurse the tires a little bit. But currently, if we have a quick look here, we are running lap times. Well, in Magnussen's case, that's a second quicker than Hulkenberg. Did he actually leave him behind? He did. That's interesting in its own. But he did also use more energy, so I guess that had an effect. Yeah, we are running lap times right now. Let's say 13.5. That is quite a lot quicker than further down the grid here. So I would think that at least up to Alonso maybe, we'd be able to create a gap that is big enough that we can pit onto a soft tire. And I do think that even when we do pit onto the softer compound, we'll be able to get overtakes done with the help of DRS. We are seeing some gaps starting to form, so I'm confident that we'll still be fine. Hulkenberg's actually caught up to Magnussen, and that is going to be detrimental for his tire heating. So we'll have to see. If we see higher deck than usual, we might turn it down to aggressive, but honestly, I'm happy with this right now. And by lap 5, we've actually created a gap here to the, well, the far back where pitting is going to be viable. So we'll just keep this going until our first pit stop. Perez has gotten Leclerc, which is not great, but it's also not horrible. We'll be fine. Verstappen has also gotten Leclerc, so we'll have to see if the Red Bull strategy is superior to the Ferrari strategy. Things are going fairly well here. By lap 12, we've basically gotten a gap all the way down to the Ferraris where we can somewhat safely pit, so I do believe that by the time we actually do this first pit stop, we're going to be able to safely come out ahead of the Ferraris. We're extending the gap to the Red Bulls. So currently, we're looking very, very good. So what I'm thinking here is that we are just about within the window where we can try and safely pit. And what I'm thinking here is that Hülkenberg is running out of tires. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get him in early on this lap. And even if he does come out behind Leclerc and Sainz, I do believe that he has enough tire capacity that he'll be able to get past the Ferraris. That's my hope, at least. But we'll have to see. We are sending him into the pits. We'll have to see if he can actually beat, as mentioned, Leclerc and Sainz on the way out. And it's looking kind of worrisome at the moment. 3.1 second pit stop. Hülkenberg is driving out, and he comes out ahead of the Ferraris with quite a safe margin, I dare say. And that's kind of what we were looking for now. Hülkenberg can just take his time, get the temperature into these tires, and he should have no problem once they go up to the operating temperature, which should be probably 85 degrees for these. Maybe a little bit less. But once it gets there, it should start taking time out of the Red Bulls. And for Magnussen, I think we're just going to go ahead here and pit him as well. He is getting closer to his pit stop on this lap anyways, so it's fine. And he too should, hopefully, be able to come out ahead of the Ferraris. And that's kind of the big goal. But yeah, currently he is eating, well, was eating at least a little bit of time out of Hülkenberg's tires, or Hülkenberg, which is nice to see. Okay, Magnussen now is going to come out ahead of Hülkenberg, so they're both pitted, they're both safe. And as you can see, the Red Bulls are going to need to pit at one point. And the best part about the fact that they're needing to pit is that they're guaranteed to come out behind the Ferrari. So the Ferrari hard team here could be double MVP for us. Verstappen has just pitted, and he did come out in 6th, 8 seconds behind Leclerc and Sainz. So not too shabby, but at the same time, it is a huge game for us. We have 15 seconds now on them. So currently things are looking very, very nice. We are still running with underheated tires, but I think it's okay. It is a little bit worrisome, but we are still gaining time while doing this, so I'm fine with the current situation. So we're currently a little bit over halfway of the race here. Verstappen has made his way up to 3rd, 13 seconds behind, but he too is going to have to pit before the end of this race, as Leclerc finally pits onto what I assume is going to be a medium stint for his final one. Hamilton, Alonso, Stroll, all three of those need to pit as well as Verstappen and Perez. So I'd say we're looking at a fairly good performance here. I don't think the Red Bulls can take 13 seconds out of us. They are currently running or pushing their tires a bit, which is understandable, but at the same time, we're getting closer to the point where we want to do that ourselves. So I guess we're going to turn up to aggressive here, just run these tires to the ground, then we shall pit. And with the gap to Leclerc being 37 seconds, we have a fairly safe gap to pit into. And as I said, with 47 out of 78 laps done, 30 laps to go, Perez and Verstappen are both going to need to pit again. So this has been a fairly relaxing endeavor. And we'll just pit Hülkenberg onto his soft tire. I guess we'll do one more lap after this. And for Magnussen, 2 more laps, and then we'll pit him onto his medium. So we've just finished our pit stops. We're currently 2nd and 3rd. Perez still needs to pit. Verstappen is 7 seconds behind us, which is slightly worrisome. But with Perez now pitting, as you can see, I still think that we're safe. We just need to take care of our tires. And as long as we do that, we're going to be able to fight Verstappen on the last few laps, even if he were to catch up, which he currently isn't actually doing. So very, very good race from us so far. Been very, very good and relaxing experience. We're getting very, very close here to the final lap of the race. We have been keeping Verstappen at bay. He's 5 to 6 seconds behind Hülkenberg. Magnussen is leading, Hulkenberg is running second. It's been like this for the entire race, basically. Unfortunately, the Ferraris could not do what we wanted from them, which was to, well, cause some problems for the Red Bulls. Hamilton, Russell are looking to score points for Mercedes, which is going to be good for them. Alonso in 9th here, Stroll in 11th, and a surprise here with Ocon currently running in 7th. Tire-wise, all of them are running kind of on the edge. We do have a bit of a tire advantage if we were caught at this stage, but it was a no concern. Magnussen wins. Hulkenberg goes second. It's all that we were hoping for here. We managed to turn that 1-2 in qualifying into 1-2 in the race, and we can be very, very happy about that. We did get helped quite a bit, though, with most of the field running the hard tires. It did make life a whole lot easier. But yeah, the main problem here, did not get fastest lap. Probably should have gone a bit more aggressive for that, to be fair. But I wanted to just make sure that they did not crash. Hulkenberg has been running behind Magnussen for the most of the race, so he didn't have the highest confidence. But yeah, I did play that a bit cowardly because I wanted to secure the points that we were getting here with Magnussen finishing first, Hulkenberg second. It's a whole lot of points, and it puts us just 7 points behind the Red Bulls. Although, to be fair, I really should have gone for that fastest lap as well. Hulkenberg, pissed off mistake, cost him a little bit extra time, but honestly, it was a fairly minor mistake compared to what we're used to seeing, so I'm fine with it. It does happen. It is what it is. We'll deal with it. We also got a decent chunk of money, and Slade has improved his race engineering skills. Now, what we do want to do here is just take a look at our pit crew and see how they're looking at the moment. And they are very tired, so we can't really put any jobs on them. They're going to have to rest until we get to Spanish GP, and even then they're going to be a bit tired again. So we'll see if we can get some training in after Spain. No damage parts, which is great, so we are looking good. And with that, I think we can just speed along here to the Spanish GP. You have a facility upgrading coming though, the Car Park Test Center, which is one of the better things you can upgrade. As you can see, it gives downforce, cooling, drag reduction, and DRS for your rear wing, brake cooling for your front wing. So it's actually a pretty decent facility that we'd of course like to get up and running. As you can see, facilities unavailable due to sponsor obligation, and Haas has a lot of those. So the factory does kind of suffer a lot. Let's just put it like that. Yeah, we are upgrading some of our facilities, and I think we're going to go ahead and upgrade this one more time. Now, this is kind of interesting, though, that the upgrade is actually giving us that much of a boost. I assume it's still showing the level 1 unfurbished stats. Basically, we should be about 44%, 2%, 2%, 3%, sorry, 4%. So it's still showing the unfurbished stats, and we might as well have a look at that before we get to the race weekend. As you can see, this is actually what we have right now, because it was in bad condition. It was level 1, it's now level 2. But that's okay. It's kind of what we expect. Now, the Spanish GP is a bit of a different kettle of fish, because it's a race that has very high tire deg, and that is usually something I'm pretty bad with. As most of you would have realized by now, I prefer aggressive strategies. Aggressive strategies with the latest patch does not work very well on high deg tracks, or high abrasive tracks. So we're going to have to see here if we can pull a rabbit out of the hat and get a surprise win. So unfortunately here, we have gotten a red flag. It looks like Norris has had a bit of an incident. Don't know exactly what happened, but this might end quali early.
Keep on the track, and they'll find themselves at a disadvantage if they keep on doing that.
That's interesting. Looks like he actually damaged his underfloor then by just running wide. He didn't actually have any big crashes. He just ran into the gravel trap, and that caused a bit of damage. I did actually put the wrong tire on Magnussen there. We'll have to see if we actually have time to do another run with how it's looking. But honestly, even if we start like this with this track, I would be happy. And we have 4 minutes remaining. So what we are going to do here is that we're going to be a bit cowardly. We're going to save 2 fresh soft for the race itself. It's going to be far more valuable to have 2 fresh soft for the race rather than having tires available for quali. And generally what I'm seeing is that tires that have done one run seem to perform better than tyres that are completely fresh. So we're going to try and take advantage of that here. Now, Sainz has actually gone incredibly early. The same can actually be said for Russell to some degree. And I think we can actually wait until they have driven past us before we send our car out. Or send Hulkenberg like so. And we'll send Magnussen out like so. There should still be just about enough time here for them to get to the finish line, start the runs. Actually, we could have saved this, sent them out even later if we really wanted to. This should give them a fairly much a, well, not really an uninterrupted run, as you see Alonso and Russell there being problematic. But for Magnussen, it's going to be good. Yeah, unfortunately, no improvement from Hulkenberg, no improvement for Magnussen. We're starting 3rd and 4th after a little bit of drama there with Norris. But I'm still happy with this, honestly. As I said, on this track, it's more important to just have tires available to us so we can keep on going. So we are starting 2nd row. Red Bull's our 1st row. And what we're going to go ahead and do is probably something you've seen before. Let's put it like that. I do feel like maybe we want to use the hard here, honestly. Maybe 5/10 difference, so 11 or so laps from the softs. The hards, yeah, we don't want to use the hards here. It takes around 30 laps for mediums to become equal to the hards. So the hards don't really have any other advantage than you can push them into the ground. That's basically the advantage that they have. But I do want to see if starting on the hards is somewhat viable. That's the thing. And you can see the deg here is incredibly high. And the thing here is, even if we run like this, we could make it till the end. The problem is just if the tires are underheated, it's not really going to work out to our advantage. So what I might do instead is take the mediums, run them aggressive, and even that's going to be quite rough. Then do something like this. But I think we are looking at, most likely, a 3-stopper. I think that is the feeling that I'm getting here. And does Magnussen have 2 sets of mediums? I believe he has. I'm just going to double check. He does. So what we could do then is start him on the medium, go for another medium, have both of these be run on full attack for aggression. Basically, use them up as quickly as possible. And do not want to have an interset in there. Then have the 2 soft stints towards the end. And that could work. It's estimated to be a minute quicker than what we did before. Well, that's because what we did before was silly. But yeah, as you can see, it's 10 seconds slower. It's about equal in pace with this strategy. That is just how high deg is around here. But yeah, this one does require you to kind of keep the tires alive, which is going to be difficult. What if we do this instead? 6 seconds quicker. I think this might be the best thing that we do. We keep the mediums alive, run them attack for the first half a lap, if that even, just to keep up with the rest, then we turn them down. And I think that might actually just be the best that we have available to us here, because again, we need to keep, that's the wrong way, we need to keep the mediums alive. Well, 3-stopping would be fun. We do have very, very slow pit stops, and most strategies here are going to be the same in terms of time. I'm actually surprised that this one is as fast as it is. Could we make it faster? Not really, but as you can see, this is viable as well. This is still slightly quicker though, so we'll just put both on the same strategy. I think it's fine, honestly. And we'll just have to kind of try and keep up with the Red Bulls. Beat them during the pit stops. And that's going to be the idea here. But yeah, we're going to need to keep these mediums alive for as long as possible. A little bit difference here when we're stopping, but honestly, it's not a big deal. But yeah. Spanish GP, one of those difficult tracks with deg is incredibly high. It makes it very, very difficult. But I have a hope here that we can get through this without losing too much. Paris starting with a soft tire. He's going to deg very, very quickly. Hulkenberg is overtaken by Sainz. That's not amazing, but is Sainz on soft tires? He is not. Magnussen almost is getting Verstappen here with Paris running a bit of a blocker, and I do believe that we heard an incident there, and we did indeed. Red flag.
Red flag, red flag.
What exactly happened? Let's have a quick look. It looks like Albon got taken out or had an incident, probably locked up into the... Yeah. So, cars ahead of him had an incident, he ran into the back, and then he just got run down by the group. That is understandable. And I think we're just going to stick with the same tires. There's no need to make any changes here. And Albon is the only one that's out. Piastri lost a set of softs. There's also probably a lot of the cars further back that has damage in some form or another. But we did jump one position forwards during the course of this. And as you can see, no one really changed any tires. Hulkenberg, Magnussen, both of them are losing now on the restart. Not great for us, honestly. But it is what it is. We'll just have to try and make the best out of the situation. Ocon gets a penalty there, major collision caused. And as I said here, the goal is actually just going to be to keep these tires alive. So we'll go ahead and turn them down to standard. Hulkenberg has fallen down to 6th. That is a bit concerning. But honestly, nothing much we can do about that. This race is basically just damage control for the most part. So the Red Bulls aren't going to be creating a gap. There's just no way around that. We're just going to have to try and take better care of our tires and work from there. Keep in mind, AI generally pushes for at least 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes even 10 laps after starting. And we're not doing that, so we're actually currently running a bit less aggressive on our tires than the rest of the cars around us. But yeah, I think we can be happy with this. We did expect the Red Bulls to run away. It's just the nature of things. But I do think that we can get back at them here. And if Sainz pushes, well, Sainz is on hard tires, so maybe not. If we can get some proper pushes going, I still think that we'll catch them by the end. We have another incident with the Aston Martins. Looked like both Astons were off the track there for a second.
Oh, and the car locks up. What caused that?
Locked up and sent it. But yeah, both Alonso and Stroll now running back of the order. But we'll have to see how things look here once we get to the first pit stop. I'm somewhat happy with this. It's not amazing, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that, yes, this is exactly how I wanted to start this race. But we do need to take care of these tires. And as you can see here already, particularly with Hulkenberg, the deg is higher than anticipated, even running standard. So it's not necessarily looking amazing. So some of our rivals, namely Perez and a bunch of other cars around us, has started the process of pitting. And honestly, we might want to start considering that ourselves. But I think what we need to do here is just, as I mentioned, run our own race. But I do think that we are fine now to just run attack until we do get to, well, the pitting itself. And we just kind of have to use the little rest that we have of the tires. It's still not looking amazing, our current situation. We're a good 10 seconds, as you can see, behind Verstappen, which is, as mentioned, concerning. But what I think we're going to do here now is pit Hulkenberg first at the end of this lap. That's probably going to be our best bet. Get him in there first. And I do believe that is, as mentioned, the best course of action. Put him on light. He's going to get in there just now. And we are going to be pitting Magnussen now at the end of this lap. Let's see now exactly where we come out. Can we beat Norris? Can we beat Gasly out? Doubtful. But that's still not a bad spot to come out here. The cars in front do have fresh tires, with the exception of the Ferraris. So we're going to have to do a couple of overtakes here. Norris, Gasly should be somewhat of an easy dinner, if you will, for Hulkenberg. But the fact that we're in a DRS train is going to make it a little bit rougher to get done. But I have faith that he can. And I was a little bit late then turning Magnussen on light, so we'll have to do that, well, fix that once he actually comes out of the pit stop here. And how is he looking? He did actually manage to beat the two other cars out, and that is actually kind of huge. It makes his life a lot easier. But even then, as mentioned, we're a good 14 seconds behind the Red Bulls. It's going to take quite a lot of effort to catch them before the end of this GP. Hulkenberg, though, is getting into position to potentially attack, so we'll give him some deploy to help with that process. And Leclerc, we did beat him, kind of what we anticipated. But Hulkenberg here, as long as Gasly and Norris DRS of each other, is going to have a bit of a hard time getting by. As I say that, he just gets by Gasly easily.
Nico Hulkenberg there.
Goes by the inside,
They
outside.
decide to give it a go.
Just gets through the cornery section, so to speak. Well, the corners here. Which is incredibly nice. Hulkenberg now up into 5th. Verstappen with fastest lap is not what we want to see. So, yeah. We do have a little bit of a job ahead of us in catching up. But honestly, as I said here, I'm happy with 3rd and 4th because of the high deck. We're limited in our time strategies. The AI will be using just as good a strategy as we do. And the Red Bull is still, probably I would say, the slightly better car. Definitely the better driver pair. So we have a virtual safety car here, which might cause us some pain, honestly. Piastri and is that Albon, the same pair that crashed earlier? No, Albon was out, so it's the other Williams. That was revenge, basically. But it is allowing Sainz here to pit under the safety car, which could, or virtual safety car, which could lead him to come out ahead of us.
VSC. Get plus on delta time. Copy.
Are we just about safe? Yeah.
15.
But that virtual
Ground
safety car
on the track.
definitely helps Sainz out massively. You can see that in terms of where he came out. He would come out behind Leclerc if not. Tsunoda with a penalty, yeah. So Tsunoda took out Piastri. My bad. I forgot for a second there that Albon was actually just straight up out. There were so many cars involved. I forgot which one was. So what we can only pray for right now is that the virtual safety car ends while we're in the middle of a corner. And not in the middle of the main straight, because that's going to cost us a tremendous amount of time. And currently, as mentioned, we are 22, 25 seconds behind Verstappen. We do have a bit of a tire advantage, but even that tire advantage is not going to allow us to close that gap easily. Let's push. Okay, let's have a quick look here. So Verstappen got the VSC ending on the straight. That's going to cost him a lot of time. We got in a more fortunate area, but even then, Sainz is going to get the overtake done. Sainz is on soft tires, so honestly, it's fine. We might be able to catch Perez by the end of this, but even that is going to be a little bit more interesting to have a look at. And you can kind of see it here, just how much time we gained from Verstappen having the VSC ending in the middle of a straight. We gained almost 4 seconds. That is actually quite insane, just thinking about. Now, Sainz is definitely pushing these soft tires with how quick he is. Even if we were running light, we wouldn't be this much slower than him. So that's also good for us. If they burn their tires, hallelujah, it benefits us massively. We have yet another virtual safety car. Leclerc, Norris, both of them are pitting under it. We were a little bit too late, unfortunately. And it's Verstappen. Is he going to get taken out by the Alpha? Oh, that is... I would agree with that, honestly. That statement, Verstappen, 100%. That's... If that happened to us, we would be crying. So yeah, that is incredibly frustrating. And it does kind of put us into, do we want to take advantage of this to pit? Take a look at the time consideration. We save about 6 seconds pitting on the virtual safety car. The question is just, is it worth it from a race perspective? Now, if we take a look at what tires we have available, Hulkenberg should have 2 more softs. He could definitely do something with that. For Magnussen, we could put him onto the medium and try and make him last till the end. That is something that we could do. I would also expect Perez to pit here. Most cars would pit, honestly. But yeah, show taking out Verstappen. I do not have that on my bingo card. Let's go ahead and have a look at what we can do. So if we were to say, turn this into a medium stint, could we last till the end? We could. We'd be about 5 seconds slower than our current strategy, but we'd be saving that time from pitting under VSC. Now, if we want to be a little bit more reckless, how would this look in terms of pace? That's what I'm mostly concerned about. So we're gaining about 1 second from running aggressive over anything else. It would be about 6 seconds slower. This is basically just securing the fastest lap, basically. For Hulkenberg, I'm wondering if we do he does have 2 fresh softs, so the thinger is actually telling lies. I hate that. But let's see here. If we pit, we go aggressive, lap 53. And we could make it till the end. We have a bit of a rough strategy call ahead of us. For Hulkenberg, he'd have to go to the hard tires. That's the thing. To make this work, he'd have to go hard tires for sure. But he also does have 2 sets of softs. So again, I hate it when it just doesn't reflect that properly. We're gonna cheese this, find another soft. Okay, so the game is just refusing to acknowledge that Hulkenberg has 2 softs, which is making planning a little bit of an annoyance. I think for him, we just stick with what we're doing. I think that's gonna be fine. I think this is gonna be okay. But for Magnussen, as mentioned, we could do something a little bit cheekier, like going onto the medium tire and trying to make that last. It is gonna be about the same in terms of pace, and we'll have a little bit of medium to work with at the end to go attack. So I think we're going to diversify our strategies here. We're going to pit Magnussen, we're going to allow Hulkenberg to stay out. I think that's going to be the play here. So I think that's just going to be for the best, if that makes sense. Let's get him in, put him on the medium.
VSC, VSC.
And for Hulkenberg, again, it takes 25 seconds to stop. The question is, we're probably not going to be able to regain those 25 seconds, even if we, well, 19 seconds, even if we do pits. So having him stay out is probably for the best. Magnussen is going to gain about a second with this strategy, so it's fine. Sainz stays out, Perez stays out. Okay. Magnussen just massively gained. Well, he didn't actually gain. He lost because he had a pit stop issue. Oh, the irony. We pit in the safety car to save time, and then we end up losing time. So that's now a net loss. It would have been better to stay with the strategy that we had. But with the amount of incidents happening, it would not surprise me if we have another, incident currently that could result in crashes. Because the back markers are dangerous currently. Ocon, we know he has low confidence, which makes me fear for Magnussen. So we'll have to see if we can get something out of this. Now, Hulkenberg is going to have a pretty interesting job here now of chasing down Perez. And he did get 1 overtake done. But suddenly, we're in this race for the win. And potentially to get a pretty huge advantage over the Red Bulls. But yeah. Let's see what we can do here with Magnussen. Might have been a terrible idea to pit him. We'll have to wait and see what the jury is on that one. So Hulkenberg here is getting pretty close to catching up to Perez. You can see that he's just 2.5 seconds up the road. And he just entered the pits. And Perez is still going, which means Hulkenberg could jump Perez here. That's going to be the big one. Now, Magnussen does have a little bit of a tire advantage over everyone that's gone onto the hard tire, which is going to be pretty amazing, as he still has a chance of jumping the 2 cars in front, Perez and Russell. So it's looking pretty good from that perspective. And Hulkenberg here does come out ahead of Leclerc, which is amazing. Didn't actually see if he had a pit stop error. I don't think he did. But as you can imagine here, he now has a pretty decent chance at jumping Perez, unless Perez gets in this lap or the next. But what I'm thinking is going to happen here is Perez is actually pulling these mediums as far as they can, so he too can go onto a soft tire. For Magnussen here, probably allowing him to deploy so he can get past Russell would be beneficial. Russell is going to be slower. He's on old hards. And Hulkenberg in 4th does have, as mentioned, a pretty huge chance there. Should probably have deployed a little bit earlier. Perez is in the pits. He's going to come out ahead. But Magnussen is going to jump him. And Hulkenberg is maybe going to jump him. Yeah, just about. Unfortunately, no Ferrari there to jump him as well and buy us time. But if Magnussen can get past the annoyance that is Russell, sorry, had a bit of a hiccup there at the same time. That's going to be huge. And honestly, even if Perez overtakes Hulkenberg right now, he's going to be using so much tire that we're going to have an advantage by the end of this. So I'm happy with it. We can also have Magnussen try and slow him down. So currently everything is kind of working out to our favor. Let's see how things look in another 10 laps time. There is now 10 laps to go, and while Perez has pushed, it's he's still within reach. We have about the same in terms of tires right now. Unfortunately for us, Hülkenberg did have a minor incident where he locked up and lost a little bit of tire. It's not the best, let's put it like that. And currently Perez is running quicker, so maybe, just maybe, we have potentially put ourselves in a vulnerable position. But I think we are fine now with turning everything up to standard. 10 laps, well, 8 laps to go. We are going to have to try and get a little bit of attacky here. Maybe have our drivers switch back and forth. We also do have a little bit of fuel we can push. But we're going to have to try and do our best here now to chase down Perez. And I think what we're going to do now is just put Magnussen on full attack and have him be the, you know, the hunting dog, if you will. Kind of switch them around with that, honestly. If one takes the lead, the other one goes normal, the other one goes attack, and we're just gonna have them kind of cooperate here in trying to catch the Red Bull. We're gonna have to turn Hülkenberg down a little bit so he doesn't actually get away from Magnussen. We still want to have that DRS help, but Hülkenberg actually already just sped past him. That's a bit unfortunate. Yes, Magnussen using a little bit of deploy would be good to get back within range. But yeah, 2 seconds. It's going to be rough, honestly, I think. Might be that I was a little bit too passive here, I'll be honest. But it is how it is sometimes. In terms of tires, Perez is handling his way better than we are. So the only thing we really can do is to go full attack on the last maybe 2 laps. But even then, just that little attack we did, you can see just how much it took out of the tires. So if we want to chase, it's going to have to be Magnussen that does it. Magnussen is going to have to do the chasing. His mediums should last till the end of the race on full attack. That's going to be the key here. He unfortunately doesn't have the energy that Hülkenberg has. But there's nothing really can do with that at this point. So it might be a little bit unfortunate, honestly, but at the current stage, this isn't really much we can do about it. Although Perez might go below 30% in just a second, and we're gonna get DRS here from Alonso. So it's still potentially viable, but Hülkenberg is unfortunately kind of out of contention. Need to kind of take care of these tires more so than anything else. But Magnussen could now catch Perez. The question is, can we get by him? We are going to have DRS now for the main straight, I would think. There we go.
Starting last lap.
Yeah, copy.
And we're just going to deploy whatever we have available to us now. We have one more DRS zone. We have to keep up until we get there. We might actually get the move done before that, though. Magnussen is very much in an aggressive mindset. Let's put his overtake risk too high. Turn down the fuel usage so we don't lose it all. Probably should have been a little bit more conservative on the energy usage. I'll be honest here, but we did try on that last straight that we had, and unfortunately, looks like it just wasn't enough.
You will take the checker.
Bit unfortunate. Could probably have waited with pitting. The pit stop error there actually cost Magnussen the win, if you look at it from that perspective. Could probably have been better to put Hülkenberg on a 2-stop strategy. It works out pretty well for Magnussen. But even then...
Okay, that's the checkered flag.
I think this is still an acceptable result for us. That's the thing. It is still a decent enough result that we can be happy. Okay, second and third, we did fail to get fastest lap, which is fine. We kind of need to take care of our tires around here. Perez did not care, he just snatched it even so. So yeah, probably made a bit of a mistake here with the gap. Nah, the gap isn't big enough that we could have pitted for fastest lap either. Had to do that a lot earlier if we wanted to. But Magnussen still retains the lead. And we still gain points on Red Bull. I believe we're actually square now. Yeah, we are. Square on points. And with a 169 versus 140, we're actually looking very, very good. But yeah, this pit stop did indeed cost us the race win. And probably also a chance of getting fastest lap, but it is what it is. We'll still be okay. Design center refurbishment complete, suspension design completed, underfloor design completed. A lot of things happening at once here. That should help with a little bit. And let's have a quick look at how this is looking. So this is basically just one for improvement's sake, and we've actually forgotten to make extra suspensions. So let's have a quick look at it. Did it fail for both cars? Because if so, we might be in a tad bit of trouble here. That's a lot of failed parts. Yeah, that's a lot of failed parts. We're gonna have to make two new suspensions before we go into the next race. We can do it if we rush it, so it's gonna be a little bit expensive because, well, it is what it is. We'll just have to deal with it. This one would be a slight downgrade, nothing too major, but it's still a downgrade. And we are also going to have to make the replacement of a lot of pieces here. Which is going to make it a little bit expensive now because we're going to have to make new ones. And, well, it could actually be interesting to use this underfloor. We're losing low speed, we're getting medium. But we're gaining a lot of top speed, that's the thing. I think we might go ahead and make this underfloor, honestly. Manufacture 4 of these. It's going to take us over a month to do so. This is also a new underfloor. I believe we actually made this with the purpose of losing a little bit of cornering. We're going to have one for Montreal, which is fine. We're going to have all 4 of them by Budapest. But yeah, that is just how things are. So we are making the new rear wings, so we're fine with that. The front wing, we want to manufacture 1. And how are we currently looking? We're looking good on the rest of the parts. Okay, so the underfloor is actually a decent upgrade, I think. And the suspension is one that we're going to be developing further. So, oh yeah, the reason why we refurbished is because... the reason why we refurbished the design center last time was because we got the buff for extra designs now, remember? And honestly, let's just go ahead and get a project going for everything. And for this one, we're going to make a cornering and top speed beast. So as you can see, this one is going to be a bit more of an upgrade. We're going to be losing a little bit of the top speed gained on the current one, but we're gaining more cornering. So I think that is an acceptable exchange, equivalent exchange, if you will. And for the suspension, we do want to get brake cooling, airflow front. There's actually a lot of things we'd like to get, but as you can see, it's kind of hard to actually put into the car, but we don't really need the brake cooling, as it turns out. So we could make this. It's going to be a minor upgrade across the board, but it will be something we can develop later on. And let's be honest, with hard AI, every upgrade does kind of matter. For the rear wing here, we're going to do what I mentioned earlier, that we are kind of reaching a bit of a roof here with what we can do top speed wise. So what we're going to do instead is focus a little bit on the cornering ability. We're not going to be making this rear wing and putting it on the car, but it's just there to improve our expertise for the cornering aspect of the rear wing, which should be fairly easy to understand. Now, I'm thinking we'd do something like this. We're still going to get a boost in brake cooling. This is still going to be a decent upgrade in terms of our front wing. So let's go ahead and get this one made, although we do want to do 2 ticks like that so we don't spend too much money making them. But yeah, a small upgrade that is going to be beneficial to us. No reason not to get that design underway. Manufacturing slots, we might want to get another level in the factory, honestly. But financially, we are also in a little bit of a worrisome situation. But yeah, it would be nice to go ahead and upgrade the factory to level 4. It's going to take 4 months. It's going to take enough time here that I don't think we're going to bother with it for the time being. But yeah, we have gotten every single part up and running now for the designs, which is going to be great. We're also getting CFD time in about a month. And I'll have to go back and have a look at what we used the CFD time on earlier, because I think we're going to do Canada. Maybe the race after, we'll have to see. And then we're going to probably be calling it there. Okay, car development report. So we're currently best in the cornering department. We are the worst in the top speed department. And our dirty air cornering sucks when it comes to high and medium speed. Brake cooling, engine cooling, not great. But yeah, we basically sacrificed a lot of stats here to be good at cornering. We're lacking in the top speed. And in terms of our driver ratings here, adaptability, of course, and braking for both of them. That's actually pretty good. I'll be happy with that. Pit crew training schedule. They did need a little bit of rest here. As you can see, they are still just well rested. 19%. So I do think that we're going to put in a little bit of the training here. Shouldn't be a problem. They're kind of maintaining at the moment. And we'd also like to get the car building back up and running, as well as a little bit of gym training if we can. Give them 2 rest days before the GP. That should be fine, and we'll set up the training after that. But yeah, our pit crew definitely does need a lot of work, and we might need to get ourselves a... Well, to be fair, this guy is incredibly good as a pit boss, 9 out of 10. But even then, we might need to get a little bit of an extra edge. But that's a problem for a different time. Let's get the facility upgrade going. The suspension system has been upgraded, which is going to be a pretty decent one. It's going to make our suspensions a lot better with brake cooling, airflow, drag reduction, and also, well, the drag reduction for the low speed, which means better cornering. So it's all good. Rear wings have been made, which means that we could now go ahead and put those on the new car. Going to be a very slight upgrade, but an upgrade nonetheless. And if we just take a quick look now at what our car looks like compared to our main rival, the Red Bull, they almost have 2 kph top speed on us. So getting that half a kph on the underfloor is going to be big. We still have a huge advantage in low speed, slight advantage in medium, and slight disadvantage in high speed, and they're very good at following. So yeah, we still have a bit of a way to go here. As you can see, they still have a lot of weight that they can shed. So in theory, their car is still a lot better than our car. And that is problematic for a few reasons. Now, we're going to go ahead here and manufacture the new suspension. We're going to need probably a couple more just to be on the safe side. We are making a new, better suspension. Don't get me wrong. But we are going to need to try and have some in hand in case it, well, the ones that we currently have do fail, which does happen fairly often. 1 car in top 3. 5 races should be doable. Fastest lap, let's go for that. Although I do kind of suck at getting it, because usually we don't find ourselves in a position where I'm willing to sacrifice the tire life to get fastest lap. And that might come back to bite us later on, but I think it just allows us to secure more points in the long run. Didn't work out in the last race, honestly, which is unfortunate, but let's see if we can get another win here in Canada. So Canada is proving to be potentially quite interesting. We have moderate rain awaiting us. We had a rainy quali, which resulted in quali not going super well for us, but considering that Magnussen here is basically a little over a tenth behind Verstappen in first, we'll take it. Norris pulled off something amazing and got himself up into third, but even then I think we can be happy with how quali went. So the rain here is actually just going to be a very, very brief period. As you can see, it's not expected to be very long, which means that we can try and make our way through the rain. Then it's probably going to be a little bit rainy and then dry towards the end. So it's going to be a mad race no matter how we set things up. But as you can see, lap 38 is when it's supposed to start raining proper. And we'll have to see if we can make a strategy. Kind of takes that into account. So going on the mediums, it does not seem to be the best option in that regard because, well, even if we do, we'd end up with a fairly high amount of safety here. Now, we're just going to do what we usually do, which is go to lap 38. And like so, and add in another soft stint at lap, I think it was 62, maybe? It was supposed to stop raining. So we'd end up with something like this. Now, can we do something quicker than that? Probably not. We can probably also run it full attack during this period. Would it be better to... Let's update strategy A. And can I copy it? There we go. Would it be better for us to just get rid of this and run the medium stint on standard? Would that be potentially faster. No, it would be slower by 11 seconds. I think that kind of sells it, what we're going to do. We're going to run the 2 first stints very aggressively. We might run the second soft stint here a little bit more careful. Maybe extend it a little bit because we don't know if the rain's going to come later, if it's going to come earlier. We'll probably run the mediums into the ground, go into the softs, run them, say aggressive until we see exactly where we're at. Then run them into the ground, go inters, go softs. And I think that is going to be the best bet that we have ahead of us. It's either that or... Let's get back to Magnussen quick because I have an idea. It is either that or we go like this. But yeah, as you can see, even the hard tires aren't actually going to make it to the point we'd like to get them to, and it's going to be even slower than, well, what we're currently doing. But it would be quicker than the medium one stop. What if we do like that? Oh, potentially running an aggressive hard could get the job done, interestingly enough. But I think it's just better to do like this. Again, we'll just go full attack for a good 20 or so laps on the mediums, go into the softs. If the rain arrives earlier, we might be in a bit of trouble. I will admit to that. But I think this should still be good enough for us. If we have the rain arrive earlier, it's going to be a bit unfortunate. If it does arrive later, we have the tire capacity to kind of deal with that. And honestly, if we see that, oh, the rain's supposed to arrive lap 34, for instance, we can just pit a lap earlier, get even more out of the softs. And I think that is actually the best way to deal with this situation for sure. So with that said, let us go ahead and jump into the race itself.
70 laps of the Canadian Grand Prix await our drivers. The drivers are ready and raring to go.
Okay, I see softs on the Red Bull and the McLaren. That's going to make things interesting because that kind of hints that they are going for a stop before the rain themselves. We've held on to our positions. Hulkenberg's actually overtaking Verstappen. That's huge. But Verstappen is coming back. Perez has made his way up into third, ahead of the McLaren, which isn't too surprising. And we're probably going to get overtaken into this corner. I'm pretty confident. But no, Hulkenberg is doing a great job here of just being slightly annoying. Yeah, Verstappen on all the softs, Norris on softs, Stroll on softs, a few cars on the medium, but I do think that this kind of does tell us that either they're going to be taking extreme care of those soft tires, or we made a good choice here in going for an extra pit stop before the rain arrives. We'll have to see though, because it's going to be highly dependent on if we can create gaps to actually safely pit into. Now, one of the reasons why I have elected to do a very aggressive strategy here is also due to the fact that we have a quick look here at the report. The pit lane is fairly short at just 18 seconds lost on average. So usually we should be pretty safe in handling that problem. Now, Hulkenberg, Magnussen here, they are kind of falling behind, so we might be that I've made a slight miscalculation, but honestly, it's a gamble. I love doing gambles. And hopefully this one will end up being on the right side. For now, though, we're just going to allow time to pass. If they end up saving the tires, they're going to start slowing down. But currently, it doesn't really look like it. We've had an incident here with a car in the wall. Show has crashed. Let's have a quick look at what actually happened. Lost control, and that's him out. That rear wing is gone. He's still running, but I would be very surprised if he's not pitting by the end of this. As you can see, he's lacking basically half of his rear wing there, or at least a third. Currently, though, we are trying to have Hulkenberg pull away. It's not really working, which is worrisome. But Verstappen is still pushing, so it does kind of make sense why he is keeping up at least. Paris too, pushing a little bit. They have started taking a little bit slower. But I think what we're going to have to do is just harvest and play things a little bit slower, try and create those gaps. Currently, gaps are starting to exist, so it's not all bad. Yeah, Show has elected to keep on running, and he's going to get lapped. a tremendous amount of time. So he's already about 2 seconds slower than the Mercedes of Russell, who had another incident with Ocon. They just had a small touch with each other, broke a little bit of the car, which happens, let's be honest. But it is what it is. I would love to see Magnussen now just fly by Norris and start working his way forwards. It would be amazing. Because, yeah, recharging, overtaking is a little bit challenging around here. And for Hulkenberg, we're just going to allow him to run neutral. But he actually got ahead, so let's see if we can deploy and get away from the Red Bull. So we're going to try once more to create that gap we've been looking for. And the gap to Verstappen is increasing. Perez not so much. But if Hulkenberg now gets energy, we might be able to take advantage of this lap to, again, create the gap. And if Perez stays with Hulkenberg and Verstappen loses it, Magnus is going to have an amazing chance here to get the overtake done on the Red Bull at least. But the battery issue is going to be a bit problematic for Hulkenberg, unfortunately. So we'll have to see exactly how we deal with this. But honestly, I think we'll be regaining this time again once we actually do pit. Currently, we're scheduled to come out around Tsunoda and Rick. Hopefully, we can get a few more cars before we end up pitting. But at the same time, we'll have to see exactly how it looks here in terms of the rain, the track details. So estimated now lap 41. So it is kind of moving further to arriving later, which means we might get the entire end here in wet conditions. But yeah, we are going to be stretching these mediums as far as we can for sure with that. And Verstappen is falling off here, but as you can imagine, most cars are, I think, going to end up pitting here before the rain. Let's face it, we're halfway there to the rain, if actually less than that. So most cars are going to do one pit stop before the rain arrives, I would think. So we have the first set of pit stops starting here with Perez, Leclerc, and Norris getting in. And I think what we're going to do here is cover off that by having Magnussen pit on this lap. And we're just going to run these soft tires a bit more on the light sense once we actually do get to the pit stop itself. Because the rain is moving further and further away. It's now lap 43, which means that we're going to need 20 laps on the softs. Take a quick look here at what we can expect from Magnussen with that in mind. We place the softs here, put them to light. You can make it pretty much longer than what we intend. Maybe running aggressive would be better. Let's add a new stint. We'll just place the hards here, I guess, and see how that looks. So if we do this, we'd be about 5 seconds slower, which is not unsurprising. But we can basically pit now and run the softs on aggressive till the end. I think we're going to run them standard, or yeah, just standard for the time being, because there's a 2-second difference in 3 seconds. So yeah, we're just going to run them standard. I think that is going to be the best bet. So yeah, Magnussen is pitting at the end of this lap, and hopefully we can jump the other team, so to speak. We're also going to turn him down to standard, and we'll be pitting Hulkenberg here on the following lap to a soft stint for him as well. Let's see exactly where Magnussen comes out here. Looks like we had a fairly decent stop, 3.4 seconds though. Not decent in terms of time. And as you can see here, we are going to come out just behind Perez. So not the best pit stop ever, but still one that I think we can make do with. The point here now is that we need to try and jump Perez before we get to the rain. That would be good. And perfectly timed there for Hulkenberg to get his get him slowed down a little bit. 3.3 seconds. Perez. Hulkenberg actually just jumped Leclerc there. Okay, that's actually kind of amazing. I didn't think he'd do that. So now we're running 2 and 3 behind Perez. Verstappen down in 8th behind Norris. Everyone is running the same tire currently. So it's basically whoever is able to, well, get the most out of these tires, while also keeping an eye here on the track details. And it's still lap 43. That seems to be when the rain will begin. And we'll be running Inters till the end. And we're probably just going to run them full attack. I think that's going to be the best bet. There is a potential period here where going wets would be good for a few laps. But honestly, we're just going to do the Inters is going to be easy for us, I believe. But yeah, Paris is pushing pretty aggressively here. We'll have to see if we can actually catch up to him before the rain arrives. So currently we have caught up to Paris, and the goal is going to be to try and overtake him. He is using way more tire than we are,
Push, please.
so it's still fine, but we'd like to try and get the overtake done and work from there. We also have Leclerc among us, and Verstappen is a good 10 seconds behind us again, so it's looking good currently. But what I'd really love to see here is just a little bit of a gap being formed between our two cars, so that when we pit for the wet tires, we don't end up, well, causing problems for each other. That would be very nice. So with that, we're going to see now if Hulkenberg can, before we get into the next DRS zone, pull out a 1 second gap. And he has kind of done that. Did he do it before the detection point, though, is the big one. Does not look like it, because it's right there. But the gap is pretty decent still, 1.1 seconds. So as long as he keeps this up, I think we can say that he's still going to be fine. But it's still a little bit too close for comfort still. I'd really love him to just get away from the Red Bull. But it does seem to be a bit challenging, I'll be honest. Paris has gotten back into DRS range. So we'll have to see exactly how we deal with the pit stops. We are getting very close to the rainy period here. So we'll have to deal with that as we go. And the end result here is actually that Magnussen lost DRS to Paris, and Paris got fastest lap as well. I think what we're going to do now is actually try and get fastest lap maybe with Magnussen. Let's go with harvesting here. And we're going to try and snatch that fastest lap, because rain here should be coming in. Well, it's been moved to lap 46, 47. But we have more than enough life in these tires to make it to that point. And I think we also have enough life in these tires here to start going a little bit more aggressive in how we do things. And we're going to go ahead and go attack. We're going to go ahead and go push on fuel. We're going to go ahead and go deploy and see if, just maybe, we can snatch fastest lap, even though we are a bit behind the other cars. And also here, we'll try and do the same with Hulkenberg, but not on this lap. He's doing a little bit of recharging, which actually is sabotaging Magnussen at the moment for his fastest lap attempt. He did set a purple sector. We should probably tell Hulkenberg to get out of the way, to be fair. But, yeah, it is what it is. We did not snatch fastest lap, so let's put him down to aggressive. Magnussen is running in first, so honestly, I'm fine with just letting him keep on going for another lap. Try this fastest lap attempt. He did have a purple sector, got slowed down in the third sector. Purple sector 1, can we have another purple sector 2? Let us see here. Nope, that is a yellow. That's a bit worrisome.
Out of DRS.
And we've also used all of our ERS, which is even worse when it comes to trying to set a fastest lap. But it is, again, what it is. I think what we're going to have to try and do here is just get Hulkenberg past and try and have him do it. That's going to be a little bit challenging in its own right. Oh, maybe not. Maybe Hulkenberg did get a little bit of a helping hand there. He's basically inside of the Red Bull at this point. Yeah, it looks like we are going to have a little bit of a problem just getting by, unfortunately. And we are sabotaging each other a little bit. But at the same time, I don't want to ask him to step aside, because that could cause some other problems. And Hulkenberg used all of his energy there. Couldn't really get anything done. Rain shouldn't be too far off now, lap 48. So yeah, running these on full attack should be doable still. Yeah, again, the fact that we just aren't creating any gaps is a little bit worrisome, I'll be honest. But at the same time, should be fine. And now we're just pushing these tires. We should expect rain very soon. And I think we're going to run Hulkenberg here on a bit of a harvest, turn him down to aggressive, turn
Tires are quite hot.
Our other car down to aggressive.
Yeah.
And hopefully now we can basically have Magnussen act as a bit of a pulley, defending Hulkenberg from Paris and then snatching fastest lap on one of the few laps before we end up pitting. That's going to be the goal here. Because I assume that when this ticks over, yes, 4 minutes till rain. What that tells us is that on this next lap is when it's going to get decided.
More rain expected. Yeah, Cubby.
If we're going to be able to get fastest lap or not. So let's just put it to neutral. He is going to get by, which is not great. We would have loved to have DRS to help us with. But with that in mind, might as well just go ahead here and push everything we have now. And the same here for Magnussen. You can push everything you have to try and keep up. And we're probably not going to be pitting either car this lap, but we are going to be starting the pit stops on the following lap, if that makes sense. We did leave Paris behind, though, which is actually amazing. And Hulkenberg here, again, purple sector 1, yellow sector 2, yellow sector 3. So we just can't get the fastest lap because we don't have DRS in the important zones, if you will. That is the thing. We don't have DRS down the rest straight. It needs a little bit better planning from my side if we were to snatch fastest lap here. The rain has started and it's going up fairly slow currently. But I would assume that within the next few laps it's going to start going up pretty rapidly. Now, in terms of the gaps here, we do have a pit stop on Verstappen. We have a little bit gap down there to Paris, so it's looking good. But we don't want to do the double stack. Double stacking is not going to be amazing. But it might actually be what we have to do here, just solely due to the fact that rain is going up incredibly slow currently. And it's still going to take a little bit of time until we get to the intermediate level for the tires. So it's a bit of a rough choice. We're doing at least one more lap though before we pit. That is for certain. And we're going to have to pray also here that Verstappen has a bit of a bad pit stop, as that would be great. We have a virtual safety car. That's a backmark, I'm pretty sure. Is it De Vries? Yeah.
Now we should be able to take a look here.
It is indeed
let's have
De
a look
Vries.
now. Around turn 3. There's clear contact there. That will have knocked the...
So he hit the wall, but that does put us in a bit of an interesting situation because now we have a virtual safety car. Rain is still going up. There's going to be 2 minutes until
VSC.
the wet weather. The question here now actually becomes, do we wait a lap and save a little bit extra tire, or do we just pit? Because if the virtual safety car lasts for another lap, which it should, we'd still be fairly safe in going around and then pitting the other car. So we're going to gamble on that. We're going to get Hulkenberg in here first, which is silly, I know. Hulkenberg is not the current leader of the championship, but he is currently the car running in first, so we'll give him the benefit. And we're going to gamble here on letting Magnussen run another lap, which could backfire tremendously. I will keep that in mind. Did Hulkenberg have a bit of a pit stop issue? He did, but he still came out ahead of Paris. Short issue or small issue, depending how you want to look at it. Rain is getting to a level now where inters are going to have to be, put on. So I think we'll be fine here with Magnussen potentially even beating Hulkenberg and Perez out due to the conditions. Virtual safety car is ending, and it did work out, kind of like what we hoped it would. But unfortunately, we did screw over Hulkenberg by doing this. But let's be honest, what screwed over Hulkenberg here isn't the way that we did things. It's actually the I need to put him up to attack it. That is the wrong car. What screwed over Hulkenberg, as I was mentioning, was actually a pit stop error. That's actually what created the gap to Magnussen. So yeah, 17 laps to go. We're expecting it to be wet until the end. Full attack. We'll push. We'll see if we can keep things going. And Perez now is incredibly aggressive. So we'll have to see if he actually snatches victory here, because he's pretty damn quick. He's running a 17.5. We're running 18.8. Magnussen, if you get overtaken by almost maxed adaptability, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed. Here we are. Hulkenberg has made it back up to the back of the Red Bull. And we're going to see here if we can get him past. We're about to go into the long straight here before the final straight, and hopefully we can push past the Red Bull. We are very lacking in top speed though, so we might have to just try and get this move done during the corners. So getting close before we get to the corner section would be amazing, and that is basically it done for Hulkenberg. He pulls it off amazingly well. Very, very nice to see. And as you can see, temperature-wise, we're also looking very, very good. So we're just going to keep on pushing till the end of this race. We are currently starting the final lap here. Magnussen in the lead, Hulkenberg second. Paris is good 8 seconds behind, half a minute down to Verstappen. So while we were unable to snatch the the fastest lap here, I can say that a 1-2 is still fairly good. We can definitely be happy with that. I was worried for a little bit there because Paris did seem fairly quick for a while, but he ended up slowing down a little bit. And show here did get lapped 3 times, so not terrible damage, but at the same time,
Okay.
if you know you're going to get lapped 3 times, you might as well just go ahead and retire. I would say. 3rd and 5th for the Red Bulls, 4th and 7th for the Ferraris, Norris in 6th, not too shabby. 8th, 9th for Alonso and Stroll, and Hamilton in 10th there, final few points. Yeah, again, can be very happy. Shame for Hulkenberg here that he couldn't snatch the win. And the Drivers' Championship then, a good 44 points ahead of Verstappen. Hulkenberg climbing up slowly to potentially get, well, the 2nd place here would be nice. 30 points behind. Constructors, a little bit of a head here, just 17 points. It's not massive, but it's something. And if we can keep that growing, it's going to be really, really good by the end of this year. Once again, a bit of a unfortunate moment there with the pit stops. It is causing us a bit of pain. We do have a fairly high error chance. That is just how things are. So the pit crew, let's have a look here at what we can see. So the crew is tired, very much so. But we'll try and get a little bit of work here in before Austria. We are going to be ending it here, though. We're not going to be doing Austria today. We are somewhat out of time. But I do want to keep the time a little bit lower. I don't want pit stop times that are, well, several minutes long. Let's just put it like that. Still, though, I think this is okay before we go into Austria. Austria is a sprint weekend. We have Silverstone then the week after. We'll go ahead and accept the changes. We are still, over the course of this month, losing a little bit of our error chances. It's because we're going too tired. And we're still losing a little bit of pit stop time. So we do have our work cut out for us. Let's just put it like that. We also lost the design center improvement that we did have. The project capacity is going back down to 4. We have some failed components, mainly the sign pods here. Also the chassis. But even though we lost the buff, it's still going to allow us to make an extra chassis and an extra side pod, basically. So we can't be too upset with the current situation. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. Going forwards, I think there's going to be 2 or 3 episodes of F1 Manager content over the course of a weekend. We'll have to see. I have a bunch of games that I am enjoying currently. I've also started getting offered keys for different games from different developers, which is always nice as well. So we'll have to see. There's a lot of fun games. Helldivers, Palworld is still fun. I still love F1 Manager, don't get me wrong, but you're probably going to start seeing a bit more varied content on the channel rather than, you know, me going away for a couple of days to play a game, so to speak. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.